Hello, guys. Welcome to season 3 of
Whoa, 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 whoa. Is
yeah.
it season 3? Or is it a reboot? Or have we gone full James Gunn's Suicide Squad? Ladies and
Well,
gentlemen,
I hadn't put the
it's Double
background
Feature
up, so
Film
the
Club.
background is going to appear now. Why? In the recording,
Wait,
we were black screen. Now we've got a film reel.
wow, that's the peak of technology for
Yeah,
you. But yeah,
graphical. We've even got like crazy CGI coming to you these days.
yeah,
That's how
that's
far we've
that's
come
how
along.
that's how high budget we are. But yeah, the show that launched the channel. How many we've done 2 seasons of it. This is going to be slightly different.
The theme of
Um,
season 1 was no theme, and the theme. Oh no, we themed
we
episodes.
didn't have a theme.
Episodes had themes.
Mm.
The whole
So yeah,
season has a
we had,
theme this time, though.
yeah, and the theme of this season is directors. So each episode will be about a specific director. Today's will be Steven Spielberg.
And
We
Matt
will
is
choose a film each from Steven Spielberg, and then pair it with a film that we think should go
and
with said Steven Spielberg film.
Matt is in charge this season,
Mm.
so expect the show to be at least 20% less fun.
I'll do my best, James. I'll do my best. I'm aiming for at least 50% less fun. Half the funds. That's what we're going for. So we'll both present our case
Yes.
for a pairing, a double feature on Steven Spielberg. So yeah, it'll be a Steven Spielberg film and a film that we think goes well with a Steven Spielberg film. It could be because it's similar in theme. It could be similar in cinematography, or it could be as a palate cleanser, even because obviously Spielberg, in this case, in today's episode, a varied career. So it could be that you choose something truly excellent but heavy, like Schindler's List, and actually maybe you want something a little lighter to go with it. Or you could choose one of his more fun films, and you'll go with another similarly fun film for a nice popcorn-tastic afternoon. James, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Go on then.
I've
I
gone
know
for
you said before we started recording that you wanted to piss me off, so
I've gone for
let's see what you're gonna do.
I've gone for a film. I've gone for a slight weird choice because, hey, if you're in the mood for action and adventure, but for some reason you don't want to watch more than one Indiana Jones film, we're going to start with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom,
Ooh, I very nearly went for that myself, James.
which is a very good Indiana
So
Jones film.
I love Temple of Doom.
Considered, well, not these days, but once upon a time, considered the worst of the three, but
Yep.
they're wrong.
Mm.
Well, I mean, they're not wrong, but it's as good as the other two.
I'd say so. I think it's just different, isn't it? It
Yes.
suffers in the same way that, say, I think Last Jedi did.
I've picked this for some of its more supernatural elements. Some of its more,
Yep.
because out of the four Indiana Jones films, this one has the more horror tones.
Yep.
So it will pair it'll pair nicely with my, because I don't know that which Indiana Jones to pick to pair with my second film. It was going to be an Indiana Jones film and my second film. And I settled on this one because I do think this one pairs the best with it because of its themes. We have the outstanding scene of the Obi-Wan Club at the start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just Indiana Jones is good, guys.
Indiana Jones is excellent.
Yeah, I love the Indiana Jones films. All of them. Even Crystal Skull.
I have nothing wrong with. I don't think there's anything wrong with Crystal Skull.
I mean, it is the worst of the four,
I mean,
but
I mean, it is the worst of the four. But again,
But,
like,
you know-
I don't like.
it's like a bad sausage butty is still a sausage butty, you know.
Correct. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I get you. I mean,
it's still predominantly better than, say,
not having a sausage butty.
yeah. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, and I mean, I fully understand the why people don't like Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, but I also fully understand why George and Stephen chose to make the film the way that they made it. Like, you know, the absolute, and they're perfectly justified in
I also adore that this film
choices.
Is literally for all the talk about how films these days are like that modern blockbusters are like bland and whatnot. This film was literally made just to use up some set pieces they didn't get to use in the first film. Like, I love that that's the reason this film exists.
Yeah.
They basically just had a really cool idea for what is literally a roller coaster, the minecart chase, and just really wanted to make it. Yeah. So they built a film around it.
And why not? And I mean, the thing is, I don't think it's a bad film in any way. Like,
there are worse ways to make blockbusters than building them around a set piece.
Especially when, let's face it, I mean, between George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, like, when it comes to action adventure, there aren't many people who could get even close to those two. Yeah. So them having a dick about based on some set pieces that they didn't get used in the first film is probably going to be better than most people going out of their way to try and make a great action adventure film.
Also, why this film is also the dark one of the original three. I also think it's the funniest one of the original three.
I'd say that, yeah.
Like, but this has it's a weird tonally shifting piece, which is another reason I picked it to pair. I think this is why out of the three for Indiana Jones films, this one pairs the best with my second choice, because it is also tonally a little bit all way over the place. I don't know why I did. Hey, it's a minecart chase.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, God, I mean, what can you say about any of the Indiana Jones films that hasn't already been said 1,000 times? Really, but there is some truly like it's a solid cast. We've got a love interest here that doesn't have the slightly unsettling connotations of Raiders.
Correct, yeah.
Played by Kate Capshaw, right?
Yeah, she went on to become Steven Spielberg's wife, actually, didn't she?
Did she?
As far as I'm aware. Yeah, yeah.
This is the one that gives a short round as well.
Yes, it is. It's the one that gives a short round.
With
I can't remember. Did this come out before Goonies or after Goonies?
Yeah, it's
because it was certainly his era, wasn't it?
You're probably going to have to correct me on pronunciation here.
Yeah.
But Kei-Wei Kwan is the actor.
Possibly. Yeah.
And this Temple of Doom was 1984. Goonies was 1985.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably in production at similar times.
I mean, Spielberg produced Goonies, so there's a decent chance that he God,
I love the Goonies.
Threw the kid over to Dick Donner and said, "You have to have this lad." Like for that character, this guy's got the mad skills. You'll. I
managed to rewatch Goonies on the cinema about a couple of years ago. So good, man.
It is, and it just like it. I know, obviously, we did our ode to Dick Donner episode this year. He drastically underrated director. Like you look again, a bit like Spielberg. You look at the variety of movies that he made. Obviously, he's famous for a few things, but like you look at the variety of movies that he made. And he really was a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
In his case, I'd say he wasn't the master of none. I think he mastered everything. Like, he got the best out of everything he possibly could. And you go back and you watch Goonies, and it isn't the greatest film ever made, but I think it's exactly the film it needs to be.
Yeah.
and definitely a film of its time, but it's wonderful. I don't think anything. I mean, obviously, Super 8 attempted to kind of capture some of that, and I think Stranger Things tries to capture some of that.
Yeah,
but I don't think anything will ever quite get that same thing.
But yeah, Temple. Pardon?
Go on then. Sorry.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, what are you pairing it with then, James? Because I think you've made your case for Temple of Doom. Although, if you have more to say, by all means, go.
No, I am. So yes, this would be paired with. So we're doing it that way. We're both doing our pairings as opposed like we did in the second season. I think it worked better in season 2. Do it that way than to alternate. So yeah, I'm pairing Temple of Doom with a film from 1999.
Oh, hello.
A film by Steven Sommers.
Oh, here we go.
It's been paired with every millennial's favourite film, apart from Matt.
Yeah.
The Mummy.
I'm not a millennial.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm a zennial.
You're an old millennial, but you're a millennial.
No, I fall right on that.
The term is elder millennial, and I did that
How
weird.
dare you?
Is it that meme where they throw the chairs and stuff? I almost mimicked that then.
I will identify as I wish to identify, James. I'm a zennial.
But yeah, Steven Sommers' The Mummy.
Okay, Boomer.
With Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and John Hannah, and Arnold Vosloo, and Kevin J. O'Connor, all delivering excellent performances.
Yep.
And it's got thingy from Star Trek Discovery in. The guy who plays the head of Starfleet in.
Oh yes. And I can never remember his name. Yes, but yeah.
1 second, because he's not on the Wikipedia.
He's one of those actors that's in absolutely everything, but you can never quite put your finger on his name.
Oh, Dead for Here.
Yes, indeed.
It's just I know you don't like this film, but it has everything.
It's not that I dislike it. I just don't like it. It's one of those like it's certainly not The Cold Light of Day.
It also has that balance of comedy and horror that I think Temple of Doom has, which is why I picked this as. Which when I knew I was picking The Mummy. I just didn't know what Indiana Jones film I was pairing it with. And I settled on Temple of Doom because they both share that tonal dissonance of they're really funny and they're a horror film.
Horrors.
Yeah. And obviously this is a franchise unlike Indiana Jones that does not share the benefit of having them all be good. The Mummy Returns I enjoy, but it's not good. Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor is just god awful.
I mean, the best one's Scorpion King, the spin-off.
I also kind of enjoy Scorpion King, but it's not good.
But, no, it's terrible. But it's the one I enjoyed the most.
Like Brendan Fraser is again the perfect kind of old-timey action hero in the same way that Indiana. He's almost a modern update on Indiana Jones as well because he doesn't carry some of the more problematic elements that Indy does at times. Like
but then
he's the action hero, but he's very like. In this case, Rachel Weisz is not the romantic. She's the romantic. They are romantic leads, but Weisz fully has agency of her own, and is almost the one in charge of the pair. Like he's following her around.
Yeah,
I think there's a reason this film is beloved by so many.
Yeah.
It's them pair with Hannah being typical Hannah in the background.
Yeah, I mean,
who is always fantastic in anything he's in, but
Hannah for me steals the show. I'm not a big Rachel Weisz fan. I don't know what it is about her, but she never hits for me. Like, I don't dislike her, but she's one of those actresses that, like, if I see her building something, it certainly doesn't make me go, "Oh, I have to see that."
A well-known statement. I think, depending on your age, and irregardless of your preferences, this film is an awakening for a lot of people. Like,
yeah,
but
I get you. I think. Go on, sorry.
Hey, and if your preference leans towards both, it's a very well beloved film.
Yes, certainly.
But God, I'm glad Brendan Fraser's getting a
renaissance.
Yeah, like he deserves it.
He certainly does. Yeah.
There's a joke in this film that was imprinted on my mind to the point where like my family would repeat it at times. It's not even that, I don't think it's that funny of a joke. It just really hit well for my family. Like they get off a boat after it kind of goes down, and the Brendan Fraser's kind of friend, who's one of the gangsters, villains, who's like leading the bad guys, is like, hey O'Connor, look who's got the map. And Brendan Fraser's like, hey, look who's on the wrong side of the river. And again, I don't know why it stuck that. Yeah, this is a film I very much adore.
See, I think I understand why people like it. I just also.
When was the last time you watched it?
A few years back. Like, I think it was one of those films that actually, like, oddly enough, did the rounds on Korean TV sometimes and stuff like that. So it was something that, like, you know, it's not something I go out of my way to obviously watch, but it also isn't something that I'll go out of my way to turn off. Like, if it's on, it's on. Like, and I think the last time I watched it, I did appreciate it more than I did in its time. But I still, like, there's just something not quite there for me. And, like, excuse me. Obviously, I have a well-documented dislike for Stephen Sommers. He is the prototype Zack Snyder. And he, as far as... Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
We've had another Mummy remake recently as well,
which apparently was terrible. It was the one with Tom Cruise. Yeah,
who isn't necessarily playing the Mummy in the Mummy, but was going to be the Mummy in the Dark Universe.
Yeah,
like Tom Cruise was basically going to get mummy powers from this film, so he could be the heroic Mummy for the Dark Universe.
Yeah.
I think the Dark Universe is something I would be always curious at. We never got to see.
Yeah.
I think it could have been a very interesting disaster.
Yes. Yeah.
A good video game came out of that film, though.
Did it?
Yeah, there was like a 8-bit side-scrolling action game that everyone loved.
Oh, nice.
That kind of came out as just a tie-in to the...
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I see it. It's an odd one, isn't it? Like, because obviously Universal has found itself in this strange position now where, like, I can't remember the last decent Universal film that came out.
Fast? Any of the Fast films, if you like them?
No, I suppose, yeah. But they definitely seem to become a studio that...
Last Night in Soho?
Oh, yeah. But
the thing about Universal is they make a lot of films, but you're intrinsically thinking franchise here.
Oh, no, but I mean, it feels like it's like become, I think because of how like massive Disney is.
I mean, one of the reasons
Paramount does what Paramount does, and
I mean, they've got the Jurassic franchise.
Yeah, I suppose.
Minions.
I was
Minions.
thinking. I went to see Venom last night, which we're going to be discussing in
Pitch Perfect trilogy.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that's the thing. I think you don't. Universal is one of those studios where you don't intrinsically give it an identity in the same way you do
the other properties. Yeah, the other big ones. Yeah.
Although I will say, one of the main reasons I love Universal more than anything else is from around about the release of Scott Pilgrim onwards, they realise, like, hey, we really like playing with our logo and just making it match whatever film is playing, especially if it's a film based in an older era or...
Which actually goes back to you choosing Indiana Jones because that's exactly what Spielberg did with the Indiana Jones films.
You were a big fan of the recent Halloween, weren't you?
Yes. Yes.
Halloween's
That's
Universal.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
it's,
just...
it's yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose it's just they've become like they are what they are.
Realistically, if you're watching a film that isn't Disney or Warner, it's probably Universal or Sony at this stage in life.
Yeah.
Speaking
Maybe the odd Paramount.
Speaking of the lack of studios these days, you know what I can't get my head around? Every time I see the new 20th Century Studios logo or Searchlight Pictures logo.
Yeah.
Because they've not been redesigned as logos at all. So it's like someone's just come into a logo and chopped the word Fox out of it. So you're kind of watching it. It's worse with Searchlight than it is with 20th Century. Because there's still enough words in the 20th Century to kind of look right.
Yeah.
But the Searchlight logo just looks wrong.
Looks like it's been chopped.
Yeah, like you watch me, you're like, something's missing. I can't put my finger... Like, it's almost Uncanny Valley-esque. Like, you're staring at the picture, it's like, something's wrong, but I don't know what.
You see what I'm... Again, I saw Venom last night, and I won't talk about that because we're going to talk about that tomorrow when we talk about current films. One thing that came through my head when I saw the mid-credits scene, which I won't spoil now.
Hey, here's another reason. One sec. I just... Before we go on to your thought on Venom there...
Yeah.
Just a couple of recent Universal films.
Yeah.
F9, obviously.
Yeah.
The Purge, the latest Purge. The Boss Baby franchise.
Yeah.
The recent M. Night Shyamalan film, Old. You know, the one about the beach that turns you old.
Oh, yeah.
Still not seen it, but...
I probably won't.
The latest Candyman.
Yeah.
Dear Evan Hansen. The film about the 30-year-old high schooler.
Yeah. Oh, so they're still prolific. They're just, as you say.
The Addams Family films.
Yeah.
Halloween Kills and No Time to Die.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. That's the one I wanted to drop there as the like...
Yeah, because Sony's lost the license, haven't they?
Yeah. So it's why it's for Nokia stuff. Instead of Sony stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so my thought was that with all the multiverse stuff that is happening in Marvel, what I'd like to see is, because obviously Doctor Strange in particular has gone and messed things up in the upcoming Spider-Man.
It's probably got to blame Peter for it when he's the adult in the
movie. He will. Yeah. Even Tom Holland's 25. But like
Peter isn't though.
No. I'd like to see that be affected in the opening, like when the title cards come up.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to see the Disney logo just kind of glitch out.
Well, you don't get the Disney logo in Spider-Man.
No, in a Marvel one that may be affected by the multiverse transition and what have you. So I'd like to see the Disney logo glitch out and like maybe a Universal logo come in because obviously they still own Hulk.
Yeah.
Or maybe a Fox logo come up. Like if they do launch Fantastic Four,
Disney's never going to do that ever.
No, but I mean it'd be hilarious though, wouldn't it? Like because like it'll like just once use the old Fox logo.
I love how this. I'll be honest. This film's this show's premise is very barely hanging on these days. I feel like we're just using this as an excuse to talk about some films.
No, we'll move on. Anyway, we'll move on. I actually really, really like your choice. As much as I'm not a Mummy fan, I think you have chosen a near flawless double feature there. For those who do enjoy the Mummy, your logic is spot on there.
So what have you gone for?
So
what's your Spielberg choice first?
I'm going to go with Close Encounters.
Close Encounters? It's one of those films where I'm sure I must have seen it, but I don't think I've seen it. Like, I have to have seen it sometime.
No, I get you. I
But
get you.
like maybe as a kid or something. Like I feel it's something that I must have seen, or it could just be a film that's culturally osmosed into my
I
head.
think we've watched it together,
Yeah,
and or you've definitely, because when they released the um
that nice big Blu-ray box set.
whatever, yeah, that lovely Blu-ray box set, which I got the American import one because
I definitely own it.
they never released that one in the UK. It was a 2-discer in the UK, but you could get a 5-discer in the States.
No, I've definitely got a UK multi-disc, more than 2 discs. It's in a hard case, and you're thinking of Blade Runner.
I'm thinking of Blade Runner. Yeah. But yeah, I got an imported one of that one as well. But yeah, the Close Encounters. I've chosen it for a few reasons. It's I think partly because I saw Dune yesterday, so actually it's a long, slow, dry science fiction.
I think I can
and
predict your second film.
And I'm sort of in the mood for it. Partly, so obviously it's a bit overshadowed. I say a bit overshadowed. Obviously, the other science fiction film that came out that year was something called Star Wars. I don't know if you've heard of it, James.
Yeah, it's an old film from '77, right?
Yeah, it's an old film from '77. It made a lot of money that year, and they've tried to make some sequels, but they just haven't quite, didn't quite work out. But go and have a look for them. They're pretty cool. Obviously that was made by one of his best mates, George, who we've already talked about because of their teaming up to make Indiana Jones. Famously, they made a bet with each other that I think it was for like shares in the film or something like that. Or like in shares in each other's film. It was like whoever makes the most. Like they swapped like a percent of
Close Encounters
ownership or something
before
like that.
or after E.T.?
It's before, because E.T. was actually originally greenlit as a sequel to Close Encounters, because Close Encounters did well enough. Despite the fact that obviously there was that gargantuan film Star Wars that came out that year.
Close Encounters is one of the mountain, isn't it?
It is the one with the mountain. Mountain made a mashed potato.
Yeah.
But it made enough money. Science fiction was big. Star Wars was doing great money. Obviously, Empire had been out at that point. They'd done the first Indiana Jones. They'd done, obviously not them, but Superman had been out as well. So like there was plenty of hunger for some science fiction.
Yeah.
The studio asked him to make a sequel. That sequel never came, but he turned it into E.T. So potentially with the implication that the ship that you see at the end of Close Encounters is actually E.T.'s people. So it might, and of course, later on you see the E.T.'s in one of George's films. So in the Star Wars universe. Excuse me. But it's just it's one of those science fictions that doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be grand. It uses everything that he'd learned from doing horror films and being relatively understated and to build drama, because it's a very tense thing. It's about a man who I suppose it also talks about mental health quite a bit, which of course nowadays is something that's talked about a lot more, but wasn't necessarily talked about in those times. So it's quite socially conscious as well. And one of the reasons I've chosen this film is because I think it's, depending on my mood, I think this is John Williams at his absolute best. I think like there's occasions I think other film scores of his are better, but I actually think as far as like the technical mastery goes, this is John Williams doing the best that John Williams has ever done. And listening to that soundtrack, I've got the John Williams Greatest Hits album on my iPod in my car.
Yeah.
And the closing credit sequence music, which is like 9 minutes long or something like that, is incredible. Like, and it's just such a journey in only 9 minutes, and it just has everything from that film, and it's just full of wonder and because there is an element of magic in this film, like because of how spectacular and fantastical and but grounded at the same time this film is, that you've got that he even puts the "When You Wish Upon a Star" music into the main theme, from Dumbo, and I think it's Spielberg at his best, getting incredible performances out of actors. Obviously actors he's worked with before is Richard Dreyfuss, who was one of the stars of the previous film that Spielberg had made, Jaws, the immediately previous film to this. I think it's Spielberg at his best, Dreyfuss at his best, and John Williams at his best. It isn't necessarily for everyone, because as I say, it's quite dry. It might feel longer than it is, but if you like good drama and good sci-fi, it's as good as it gets.
I'm going to take a guess at what you paired it with now.
Go on then.
My Wirecard choice,
that
I don't think you have paired it with, is Race to Witch Mountain.
Oh! You see, I didn't even think about that.
I think you've paired it with Arrival.
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
No.
You want to pair it with Witch Mountain now, though, don't you?
Well, now you've said it, yeah. Witch Mountain would be excellent.
Are we talking original or rock?
Either. Because actually the rock one wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't.
And obviously the original has a sequel, because you've got Return from Witch Mountain.
I think we rented the rock one from Blockbusters one afternoon.
I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was good. Obviously you've got Cat from Outer Space.
Yeah.
Incredible film of that era as well.
I love Cat from Outer Space.
Bloody love Cat from Outer Space. So you could have that as well.
God, I miss that era of when Disney made really cheap films.
Cheap but excellent, because I mean the thing was that they were exactly the right budget for what they were.
Yeah.
Because they didn't look cheap. They managed to get a decent, I mean, obviously you go back and look at it now, but they probably have aged, but they got the right people making it. It was essentially high-end TV, as opposed to, it was more like what, say, Columbo is.
I would more say it's what became, I'd say it's like a Disney Channel movie.
Yeah.
But we digress. What is your second? Your pairing?
Well, again, I'll run through the ones that I didn't pick, because obviously you've mentioned Arrival, excellent film. Again, having seen the latest Denis Villeneuve film yesterday, I can't disagree with.
That's why I thought you might
Arrival.
have gone for.
I think those two together.
I've actually seen The Arrival.
Haven't you?
No, I need to.
Shocking. I think those two together would have been a very, very heavy day.
Yeah.
And I don't even know which way round.
So you've got the palate cleanser way.
Yes, because actually, while I was talking about Close Encounters there, I did think of one more choice to pair it with, which I'll mention, but I won't be choosing it as my pairing. And it's John Carpenter's Starman.
Ooh. I've recently decided I'm going to watch the John Carpenter films I've not watched. Which is a lot.
I love Starman. Absolutely love Starman. Obviously, we just talked about Indiana Jones. It's another film starring. Oh God, what's her name? Karen Allen?
No, well, Karen Allen is in. Karen Allen is in.
Yeah, she's in
Indiana
the first
Jones
one.
Yeah.
And the dude. I've forgotten his name as well.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, yeah. Awesome
Starman, not a Kurt Russell film, like a lot of Carpenter's.
No, it's a
Donald
Jeff
Pleasence
Bridges.
and Kurt Russell show up everywhere in John Carpenter's work.
It's an alien lands on Earth, but isn't a humanoid. Takes the form of a humanoid, and basically it's that.
Is it
Escape from Witch Mountain kind of narrative?
Is Starman basically the Thing but not horror?
No, it's more Escape from Witch Mountain, or Escape to Witch Mountain, but for adults. So you've got an alien that kind of turns human, ish, and Karen Allen helps said alien get to its destination so it can go home via falling in love and eating apple pie. And that's pretty much the film.
That does sound really good. I want to see it now.
It's fantastic. But absolutely fantastic.
What did you choose?
Well, there's a hint in the background.
Have you picked a Star Trek film?
I have picked a Star Trek film.
Okay.
I've gone with...
I want to try and guess which Star Trek film you picked.
Go on.
To pair with...
Close Encounters.
First Contact?
I have, yes. I've gone with First Contact. Because I think, obviously, it's from... it has similar-ish thing. Go on.
I say, really, at this stage, we could just cut here and just slice in our First Contact episode.
I mean, we could... I'm not going to, because I'm not going to talk that long. Obviously, covers similar themes, but from a completely different perspective. It is about first contact. It is about first, acknowledged first contact.
You've got so used to Star Trek as the crutch to what we make these shows about, you can't break away from it.
Well, I think the thing is, it does provide a palate cleanser, because although it is one of the darker Star Trek films,
it's still Star Trek.
It's still Star Trek. It's still loads of fun. It is arguably the best Star Trek film.
Certainly the best Next Generation Star Trek film.
Oh, easily the best Next Generation. I think there's really only Wrath of Khan that can fight with it. I mean, obviously, I could have thrown Motion Picture in there for similar reasons.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that, again, would have been so heavy.
And long.
Whereas I think this provides a nice palate cleanser while keeping with similar themes. And going back to music, I actually think...
Imagine showing up to film night with Close Encounters and Star Trek Motion Picture. Like, hey guys, I thought I'd bore us tonight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Star Trek the Motion Picture came out... was it 78 or was it 79?
Yes, around then.
So a similar era to Close Encounters. But whereas this obviously was 1996, which I could have paired it with 1996's other large science fiction of Independence Day. But Star Trek First Contact is significantly better, despite both having Brent Spiner in.
I like Independence. You're right. I mean, you're definitely right, but I do like Independence Day.
I don't dislike it.
It is what it is.
I used to dislike it. I
mean,
I actually prefer the sequel.
I've not seen the sequel.
I saw it in a 4D screen in Korea.
That might be why you prefer the sequel.
It was one of the best cinematic experiences I've ever had.
I feel that's doing a lot of heavy lifting for that film for you there.
I've seen it 2D as well, and it was fine. Like, there was nothing wrong with it. But yeah, so I think the other reason, and obviously I specifically mentioned John Williams with Close Encounters, that I think that John Williams was at his absolute best with Close Encounters. I think Jerry Goldsmith, who is in many ways the sound of Star Trek, this is his best.
Yeah.
I think, because thematically, actually, it's a little bit of a sidestep for Star Trek. It is a little bit different. It's not as bombastic. It's not as much of a march as some of the other themes have been. It's quite mellow, but I think it's absolutely fantastic. And so yeah, Jerry Goldsmith is absolute best. Star Trek, arguably, its absolute best.
Yeah, I can.
The themes of First Contact, it's and even like with the main character, it's you with Zefram Cochrane, you've got elements there of self doubt, and obviously with Picard, Picard's got it because of his Borg history. You've got elements of self doubt. You've got elements of mental health issues, obvious alcoholism in Zefram Cochrane as well.
Yeah.
It's it's all there.
I can agree with you. I can see your pairings here.
Yeah, in a more light-hearted way, obviously. But I do think that's probably important because I don't think you need, like, again, it'd be a very heavy afternoon if we put some of the other things.
I think we've got two good pairings here.
I think we have, yeah. I don't think we need to pick a winner.
No, I don't. I think we stop picking a winner these days. I think we're just recommending double bills to people.
Yeah, I think you can pick a winner if you wish to, by all means.
Or watch both.
Or watch both. I mean, why not?
But
any other film that we've mentioned, go for it.
We will leave you on Matt. What is your film snack of a choice this week?
Oh, I completely forgot we did this.
Yes.
Oh. Shall we go for... I'm going to go for something I actually would eat. It is weird. It isn't a potentially fictional historical film snack like we used to talk about.
Matt, you're just giving it away.
I said potentially. We did our research. It could just be that we researched in the wrong part of the internet. Like people who don't believe in vaccines. And so I'm going to go with, especially as for me, with your picking, when I think of Temple of Doom, I think about Christmas.
Yeah.
Because the first time I saw Temple of Doom was at Christmas time, and it was in the period when the first time a film got shown on terrestrial television, at least, because satellite didn't really exist at the time. It was a big thing. It was a huge event. It was as big as going to the cinema for it, and there was such a build-up for it, and they'd make a hype for it. And my uncles and my dad had seen the film at the cinema, and it was... I must have been 3, 4.
Yeah.
So there was such excitement in the air. So that's why I have such a fondness for Temple of Doom. So obviously Christmas morning, in my house at least, it's all about like a good bacon sandwich or something like that.
Chocolate in my house.
I'm going to go with a bacon and jam sandwich because there's nothing better than bacon with strawberry jam. So yeah,
disturbingly correct.
Yeah.
And on that note, we shall see you next time for another Double Bill Film Club.
See you soon. Thank you.